I am live streaming now. How are you? I am tired, but I just decided maybe I ought to have a brief chat with you. And sometimes I'm long-winded, and my brief chats turn out to be longer than it should be. I'm trying to work on it and keep it all to the point. Suffice to say, I do want to chat with you about this little old thing called Trump Derangement Syndrome. Now, I used to, for the past during the Trump presidency, I kind of frowned at people that were suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. And I'm a critic of Donald Trump. I was always a critic of Donald Trump, but I thought that the Trump derangement syndrome was over the top until January 6th, 2021, with the insurrection that took place whereby Trump supporters, or a small faction of Trump supporters, more aptly put, um, stormed Capitol Hill. But let me just start from the beginning, and I'm going to explain what I mean. 2015, Donald Trump announces his candidacy for the president. Okay, he announces the candidacy. He made controversy several years earlier, um, accusing Barack Obama, or insinuating that Barack Obama wasn't born in the United States. And just because I think he's a used car salesman, wanted to see what will fly as far as trying to make attention for himself. And I think that was Donald Trump all along. I think he once said there's no such a thing as bad press. Well, this week I think kind of ended that assertion. But anyway, he announced his candidacy in 2015, and what was perceivably a xenophobic speech about immigrants coming here and painting an obscenely terrible stereotype about people from Latin America coming to the United States. Uh, he says rapists, drug dealers, murderers. I suppose some are good people. Not a very nice thing to say. And you figure that he was committing political suicide right there before his presidential campaign could really catch on. Well, the primaries went on, and it was a large primaries, and the Republicans, about 20 of them or so, or I don't know, about 15, 20 of them, and and so Trump during the primaries, campaigning and in actual debates, engaged in a lot of bigoted observations and statements about African Americans, Latinos, Muslims, and even Jews occasionally. Um, um, well, and so these were disturbing statements that he made, but he was campaigning as a populist, part of the populist right, and you know and the thing about it is that for my assessment, I don't mean Republicans on Main Street, but I mean elected Republicans are batshit crazy. People can sit there and tell me how crazy the Democrats are when I hear Ben Shapiro talking about, well, the Democrats lost their fucking minds. I mean, he'll say, I mean, he one of the few times he cussed, it was bleeped out. I'm talking about Ben Shapiro. Shoes on the other foot, Benny. The Republicans are the ones that have lost their minds. And what happened earlier this week, last week, was a very good example of that. But thing about it is, Trump campaign as a populist, part of the populist right, to take advantage of people's uncertainty, the income inequality, that sort of thing. And so he was talking about bringing jobs back, and did it in a way where it wasn't corporatist sounding. In other words, he sounded like a Republican with a conscience compared to someone like Ted Cruz, Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio. And honestly, I still say policy wise, in many ways, Cruz, Bush, and Rubio are far worse. But let me go on. On the Democratic side, it was Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders. That was a contentious primary, too. In the Democrats' case, it was Bernie Sanders, even though he is an independent, wanted to put a stop to the Democratic Party adopting neoliberalism from back in the days when Bill Clinton took over the Democratic Leadership Council in the late 80s, early 1990s, and he wanted to halt the damages that the Democratic Leadership Council have caused to the Democratic Party all these years. So it was a very contentious primary between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Well, um, after all that cheating that went on against Bernie Sanders, the first time he got cheated, he was cheated in 2016. He was cheated in 2020. I would never forgive. I would never forgive the Clintons. And I would never forgive Obama for cheating Bernie Sanders twice. But let me go on. Then it became Trump versus Clinton. I mean that wasn't a choice for me. I voted for Jill Stein. But I have a conspiracy theory about the Trumps and the Clintons, Donald Trump and Bill and Hillary Clinton. Bill and Hillary Clinton were friends with Donald Trump and Melania. They went out together. They partied together. Bill Clinton and Donald Trump played golf together. They were very chummy and very, very close. Well, I think that even though Donald Trump was turning against Obama, he was still on friendly terms with the Clintons. I think that Bill Clinton and Donald Trump had a golf game. They were playing golf, and I think Bill Clinton had a little talk with Donnie. Hey, Donnie, my wife Hillary wants to become the first female president, and maybe you can help make this happen. What do you want me to do, Bill? Well, I figured, you could use your bigger than life TV persona. You could run in the Republican primaries. And I think you will polarize everything just well enough to keep the Republican Party, you get them in a circular firing squad. And my wife, Hillary, could have an easy win when a chump like Jeb Bush gets a nomination or an absolute nut job like Ted Cruz gets a nomination. You be helping us out. Scratch our back, Donnie, and we'll scratch your back. And I think that basically Donald Trump saw this as an opportunity to further his career. So I think he went for it. And then at a certain point, I think he probably thought, wait a minute, I think I could go and win this presidential contest. Fuck Bill and Hillary Clinton. I'm going to go for the kill. I'm going to win this presidency. And I think that's what happened. People call me crazy, but that's what happened. So how the hell did Donald Trump, of all people, win against, lover or hater? Hillary Clinton's a smart lady. She's very capable. She's intelligent. And I'm saying this I hate her guts, and I say this. Well, I think what happened was that she's also not a very likable person. In fact, she's very hateful. Always has been. She was toxic to Bill Clinton as the governor of Arkansas when he was the governor the first time around. Well, Donald Trump ran as a populist campaign, almost borrowing themes from Bernie Sanders and outlefting Hillary Clinton on certain things like the anti-war, because Americans are fatigued of these neocon wars abroad. And he correctly called out the neocons. He was talking about corporatism, so he was trying to play on the fears and the uncertainty of American workers. and in 2016 he was able to beat Hillary Clinton. Well, the neo-libs, the corporate Democrats, and the never Trumpers, and actual leftists, the progressives, were all three triggered by it. And and I thought to myself, I was like, Donald Trump is kind of an asshat. He's an asshole, but he can't be any worse than George W. Bush. I mean, in fact, he says things that George W. Bush would never say in a good way, like getting us out of these wars and protecting jobs. The two things that he said he was going to do. Would have been nice if he would have kept his promises. But anyway, I thought that maybe at that time that even though I wasn't particularly looking forward to Donald Trump winning, because I was strictly all Bernie all the way. I mean, I was Bernie, Bernie, Bernie. I mean, and so I was more bummed and pissed off. And I was like, I'm not voting for Hillary Clinton. So I voted for Jill Stein of the Green Party. And I did not cost Donald Trump to win the election. So anybody who thinks I cost Donald Trump to win the election, y'all can just fuck off. But anyway, thing about it is that as much as I didn't want Donald Trump in there, just like any other president getting sworn in, I would say give that president a chance. Said that about Barack Obama. Wasn't crazy about Obama. Said that about George W. Bush. I hated George W. Bush, but even when he was sworn in, I want him to do well. I want any president that's elected to do well, because if they're doing well with their job and they're doing well with the economy, if that means chances are I can reap the benefits of it, and so you and you and you and you. So I'm gonna wish the president to do well. I mean, well, in terms of what that president can do, that's going to actually enhance the income level of all Americans. Well, anyway, the thing about it is, as I said, I kind of cringe when people said that Donald Trump was a Nazi. I made fun of blaming Russia for Trump's win. I was really pissed off when people blame Bernie. That got me pissed, and I also got pissed off on how between election day 2016 and around the time Donald Trump was sworn in, how people made Hillary Clinton a victim, a woman who is catching up with Donald Trump in the wealth that she had herself. Granted, she's not a billionaire. She and Bill Clinton are not billionaires, but they're worth over $250 million. And some things are true about the Clinton Foundation and how corrupt it was, and how they stuffed their coffers with foreign money. Some things are true. Donald Trump is a piece of shit, but you know what? It's still true. Some allegations are true. Well, let me go on further. Once he was sworn in, the establishment got all around him, and it was back to the Bush-Cheney vomit. I mean, appointing John Bolton was like the bottom of the barrel. Of course, at least he did fire him eventually. But the fact that he had no filters during his presidency caused all this liberal outrage, and some of the never Trumper Republicans were like really grossed out by the way he was acting and all of that. And there was too much emphasis on the decorum policing that went on. The decorum policing. They just didn't like. They just And of course, when a Democrat's president, the right wing media finds any little thing to sit there and to criticize and make a federal case out of. Like Barack Obama going to a restaurant somewhere in Maryland, in a little diner somewhere, getting a cheeseburger platter and wanting honey mustard to dip on his French fries. And they were like, "Oh, look at Obama. He's so elitist with the honey mustard." I mean, is that the best you could come up with? Really, really. I mean, and trying to find any little thing to sit there and for ratings and be sensationalistic. But anyway, you know, what even with interviews, Trump went to his little pity party of how he was not treated fair. Well, stop acting like an asshole to people, and maybe people will treat you a little bit better, Donny boy. Seriously, I mean, and you know, honestly, Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, who's gotten attacked by the right wing media in this country, handle it like adults. They didn't act so thin skinned about things. Donald Trump was one of the most thin skinned people that ever served in the White House, and I thought that Richard Nixon was one of the most thin skinned people, but no, 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 by 100 miles, Donald Trump surpassed him as far as being thin skinned. But it looked like with the Democratic primaries in 2020 being very contentious and all of that, and Joe Biden having the charisma of a blank sheet of paper, and his mental decline, it just looked like Donald Trump might have been on his way to victory. But the COVID hit, and his non-response, his shitty mismanagement and dismissing of this virus was really what caused things to happen for the worse with him. It affected the economy. You have a lot of deaths, a lot of civil unrest, and the thing about it is that it led to Biden's victory. Now, granted, Joe Biden underperformed in this election, but he did win. Unlike a lot of the right wing crazies out there claiming that Donald Trump um, won this election and it was seriously rigged. To say that it was just as seriously rigged, as if Donald Trump did an awesome job as president. Are you kidding me? Look at the economy; it went down the shitter. Um, the deaths because we didn't tackle this virus the way we needed to. And the $4.5 trillion we gave to big business and the one-time $1,200 stimulus check. And and think about it is no Medicare for all. If there was ever a time that you need Medicare for all, this was it with this COVID crisis. Jimmy Dore has been on the Tucker Carlson show a couple of times on Fox, and he pretty much has been hammering it over and over that if Trump wanted to win, he needed to do things like pull the troops out of Afghanistan, or give people a check, or give people health care. And the day that a president gives people health care, they will put that president on Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore, because it is the only thing that's really going to save the country. But he didn't do that, which is sad because at least 20 years ago, the man supported Medicare for all. Talking about Donald Trump. Barack Obama supported Medicare for all around that same time. Nancy Pelosi supported Medicare for all as far back as 1994. Shows you that you got a lot of people who are bought and paid for up in Washington D.C. Whether it's Nancy Pelosi or whether it's Barack Obama, and whether it's Donald Trump. In his case, he got bought off by all the right wing sycophants that love the red meat he threw at him. The right wing in this country had an entitlement mentality when, they're like, they acted like Donald Trump was such an awesome president. The only thing that was good about him is he was entertaining when he wasn't being an asshole. Even when he was being an asshole, he was entertaining. I'll give him that. But the thing about it is, policy wise, It was shit. And he did nothing. The man that was actually being the president of the United States was Vice President Mike Pence, who is ideologically more nuttier. He's nuttier than Trump when it comes to his actual ideology, but when it actually comes to governance, he's stable. He dotted his I's and crossed his T's enough, and just brown nose Trump enough because he wants to be president one day himself. Well, it ain't going to happen. And with that insurrection to the other day, it just ain't going to happen. Well, anyway, yeah, the QAnon crazies and all of that, and just like Jordan Sheridan from Status Quo said a day or two ago on his program, not everybody in that mob were white supremacists or QAnon extremists. I mean, there were some people that were gung ho Trump supporters in the most generic, benign way too, but they took their pro Trumpism just a tad bit high on the notch. But thing about it is, you have people like Rush Limbaugh, the asshole that Donald Trump gave the Presidential Medal of Honor for Freedom, which is ironic because Rush Limbaugh's about authoritarianism, and Donald Trump proved what an authoritarian he was with this attempted coup. To try to scare members of Congress into acknowledging that Trump might be the winner of this presidential contest. It's crazy. It is honestly crazy. And the 25th Amendment needs to be utilized right now. It needs to be used because he's mentally ill, people. He is really mentally ill. And now I understand Trump Derangement Syndrome. And I used to just write it off and everything like that. Now, I don't think that Donald Trump is going to get in legal trouble because all these politicians, I understand about executive privilege and all of that. But, I can think of other presidents that caused a lot more damage to the United States and the world. They may been mousy and decorum centered and polite about it, but their policies were pretty bad in a way that we're in the mess that we're in. We got Donald Trump because of the shitty politics in the last 40 years in this country. A Republican Party that goes further and further and further and further to the right, and a Democratic Party that becomes more and more and more and more bland and standing for nothing when it comes to income inequality, but they go and beef it up with the political correctness. And then you have a Republican Party that caters to the QAnons and caters to, in certain quarters, caters to outright white nationalists. Not every Republican, but I'm just saying, and the southernization of the Republican Party, the neoconservatives that runs the Republican Party, and religious nut jobs that runs the Republican Party. It's an unholy trinity, and there's no way in hell that anybody in their right mind really should ever consider voting Republican. That's not to mean that the Democrats are just the shit. The problem with the Democrats is that they became moderate Republicans when it comes to corporate policies, but then they took something as good as and wonderful as social justice and just warped it around to become an authoritarian mindset of political. Anyway, so that's what happened with the two-party system, and the two-party system needs to be replaced, no doubt about it. Donald Trump is leaving, and I'm not looking for the Joe Biden presidency, But while I'm not looking forward to Joe Biden presidency, I am certainly looking forward to Donald Trump leaving the White House. The nightmare is over. It really is over in about a week. And in one sense, um, I like the outside sentiment that's been taking place in the last 6 or 7 years. Yeah, I mean, I would say maybe with regard to shaking things up, that was why I was a Bernie Sanders supporter. And frankly, unfortunately, we're going to be hearing from Donald Trump for a while. I don't much think Bernie Sanders is going to run for re-election in the year 2024, and I don't know, I don't know how he's going to. Yeah, I don't know in regard to how things are going to be with him as senator for the next for the remainder of this term. But I'm just hoping that whatever happens, that things can work out for the best. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to let y'all go right now. So let me conclude by saying that if you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you were absolutely just disgusted and wanted to, figuratively speaking, strangle me for saying what I just said, comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you that if you're passionate about something, you have a platform, utilize it. If you don't have a platform and you're passionate about something, create that platform, utilize it, because we're the muckrakers of our time. And furthermore, hit that subscribe button. Make this channel grow. Only you, and you can make this happen. And I wanted to say that until next time, I am American Social Democracy. Peace. And Bernie Sanders for president in the year 2024.